Ooh, it says we're live.
It says we're live. Does it say we're live?
We're streaming.
We are streaming. Dun, 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 dun. The news reel. This is the news reel. I know I keep going away. Something's happening. I don't ever do this right. Now I'm sending myself a message. There I am. Dun, 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 newsreel. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is 2:30-ish here in Chicago and 3:30-ish in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh,
And 2:30 where Nick is.
In Omaha, Nebraska.
He says it with such excitement. So we are nationwide. Welcome to the newsreel.
Across the country.
Across the country. My name is Carla Stillwell, and I am your hostess with the mostest, and I'm joined today by my amazing, fantabulous, amazing, wonderful, beautiful older sister, because she likes being the elder sister.
I am
Angela
the older.
Tyler,
I am the older sister.
who just happens to be, look at her, oh God, a social scientist and a social worker, so she's like got a credential and she can like talk about stuff. And I'm also happy to be joined today by my theater child, Nick Whitcomb.
That's me.
Who also has his own podcast. What is your show?
The Come Up with Nick Whitcomb.
Hey,
you can go to thecomeupwithnickwhitcomb.com. That's all you need to know.
Yep, there it is. So after you watch my stuff on YouTube, you go watch his. Woo! It's all insightful. Today we are talking about the news. You know, I watch the news, so you all don't have to. And since we last spoke officially on the newsreel, if you follow me on Facebook, you've already heard my thoughts. But January 6th was the insurrection, the first salvo in civil war. Trump supporters marched to our nation's capital and tried to overtake it and overthrow the government and install an unjust, undue president and thwart the will of the people. The crowd was 98% white. We found out that the crowd was filled with police officers, firefighters, Army, former and current military people, business people, billionaires. This crowd was not filled with yahoos and yokels like we are always told the racists are. This crowd was filled with professionals, real estate agents, when we'll talk about college students and the like. And it didn't work this time. But I have no words, so I'm going to ask Angela, Nick. Angela, you first, since you are our senior representative today. What a couple of words, just a couple of words about the last 2 weeks.
It is hurtful to see that there's such a glaring disparity of justice in America. And that is what I saw as I sat and watched the Trump insurrection unfold. And I watched people desecrating our Capitol, and no one was doing anything. The few police officers that tried, one was murdered, several were maimed. They repeatedly showed the man that was crushed in the door. One man lost an eye. You know, nothing was done. So it was hurtful to me that we can live in a country that does not realize the impact that continued systemic racism and white privilege has had on the society, and the fact that if we don't make a change, this isn't going to end. It's going to keep going.
Nick, preliminary thoughts.
As I was watching the drama unfold, I was like, well, the crackers done it. And honestly, like, I just kind of like watched, like, stayed in that like shock phase. Not really shock, but just like they done it now. Like, straight. I'm like, y'all can't say nothing. Like, whatever you used to say, what, like, it's all gone. All reason is gone. I don't got to be nice to people no more. That was the best thing. I was like, wow. Like, now that y'all cousins,
it was wildly liberating. It was wildly liberating.
I'm like, now that y'all cousins have stormed the Capitol, y'all can't tell me shit. And I was like, it's over.
We're not talking about any blue lives, because I saw you beat a Capitol police officer with the fucking flag, yo.
Yeah.
Lives Matters flag.
You took a man with, you took a Capitol police officer's life with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you did. So we can't talk about, well, we just follow the rule of law. Out the window. What was the other thing? Like,
it was their democratic duty.
Or we must follow our president, whoever the president is. We have to respect the president. Can't say that to me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't talk to me about voting rights. You can't tell me that voter suppression is a myth, is a black myth. Y'all literally started a civil war over the fact that more of us voted than you. More of us, I mean black people, because those are the counties that were contested. Every single, not predominantly Latino counties, not predominantly Asian counties, not indigenous counties, not predominantly Jewish or any other ethnicity county. Though the only ones were contested were the predominantly black counties in the United States, period. And y'all started a war, because if you look at DC right now, it is militarized.
Yeah, they ready.
So y'all started a war with your own government because too many black people voted for your taste. Well, this isn't the will of the people. No, this isn't the will of white people. That's what you want. Just say it. Say it. Well, you don't have to say it now, because you almost killed Nancy Pelosi and you tried to hang Mike Pence.
I was watching, you know, I'm a religious watcher of The View. So I'm watching The View. And Joy Behar.
I don't know why that made me laugh.
Joy Behar could be dancing because she has been saying since the beginning, she's like, this man is crazy. He's going to drive these people crazy and things are getting dangerous. And people have been like, oh yes, Joy, we agree. They've been like, oh, Joy, you're a band. So like Whoopi asked her like the day after, she was like, how do you feel? Do you feel vindicated? And she's like, no, I don't, because this is terrible. Of course I didn't want this to happen. But like she did say, she was like, you know, oh God, what did you say before? I just got lost in my Joy Behar love.
We were just talking about the insurrection and the fact that there were people that foresaw this, because it's been this was foreseen.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this when Sarah Palin popped on the scene. It was very clear what this was.
Horrifying.
Well, Auntie Maxine has been saying from the beginning. Auntie Maxine said, impeach. This was an illegitimate president. We need to get him out of here before something like the Trump insurrection happens. And we must call it the Trump insurrection, because that is what it is. It was his call to his people, and they showed up and showed out. They showed their white little bottoms.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I remember what I was going to say. So
yes.
Joy was like, here's what's ridiculous. She's like, they have people that are like 70 plus, which that's a problem. We should get those people, like, we need to cycle them out. But like cowering for their lives. They're like, you're gonna go into the state capitol and kill all the old white people. Like that is like like what is even happening? Like, you showed up with zip ties. And that's the other thing, like, that I feel like they've talked about the magnitude, but like it seems like people keep forgetting the magnitude of this. Like, they found pipe bombs. Like, they just arrested somebody like yesterday that had a bunch of armory on him near the Capitol. Like,
they found crossbows. They found crossbows, zip ties, pipe bombs, Molotov cocktails, guns, ammunition.
And we forget the biological warfare that these people engaged in. There was feces on the wall.
Yeah.
That's biological warfare. You don't know
what PP.
What's in
there was PP and doo-doo.
Yep. Smeared all over the savages.
So one of the senators, the senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford, who is my favorite piece of shit of the week, was one of these senators that thought it was okay to just vote, to postpone the election and recount and all that bullshit they were on, until the actual insurrection where his ass almost got tied up. And then he went back to the floor and decided this was a bad idea. But he is part of his constituency is the area of North Tulsa, Oklahoma. And North Tulsa, Oklahoma is where the Negroes be. It is where the Black folks are. So he must have been getting the side eye from his Black constituents. So he decided on January 14th, which was a full 7 days after the insurrection, to write a letter to his constituents. I just want to share some parts of it with you. This is a dramatic reading.
Wait, I'll get a tissue.
Is everybody ready?
Yes.
To my friends in North Tulsa, I write to you at an important moment in our nation. We are less than 140 days until the 100th anniversary of the worst race massacre in our nation's history, a 2-day period when thousands of Black mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers in Tulsa were made homeless, hundreds were killed, and the most prosperous Black community in America was decimated. We are less than 140 days from when the world will look at Tulsa and ask the simple question, how have things changed in the last 100 years? Thankfully, we show areas of progress, but we also clearly have work to do. Wonk, 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 wonk. We have prominent Black leaders in our city council, the Tulsa Police Department, the state legislature, and on many boards and commissions. Wonk, 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 wonk. When I announced my support for an electoral commission to spend 10 days auditing the results of the 2020 presidential election, it was never my intention to disenfranchise any voter or state. It was my intention to resolve any outstanding questions before the inauguration on January 20th. I believe Congress cannot legally ignore any state's electors or any state's vote, but we can work to get answers to outstanding questions. I want to strengthen the confidence of all Americans have in their electoral system so everyone is encouraged to vote and knows their vote matters. But my actions of asking for more election information caused a firestorm of suspicion among many of my friends. Particularly in the Black community around the state, I was completely blindsided.
Oh.
But I also found a wait, please, Black man, let me finish. But I also found a blind spot. What I did not realize was all of the national conversation about states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan was and has been casting doubt on the validity of the votes coming out of the predominantly Black communities in Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Detroit. After decades of fighting for voting rights, many Black friends in Oklahoma saw this as a direct attack on their right to vote, for their vote to matter, and even a belief that their votes made an election in our country illegitimate. I can assure you my intent to give voice to Oklahomans who had questions was never an intent to diminish the vote of Black Americans. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit really doesn't matter. What else did you say? I said and what I did could be interpreted by many of you. Really says, in this instance, I should have recognized what I said and what I did could have been interpreted by many of you. I deeply regret my blindness to that perception, and for that I am sorry. Many of you know my time prior to this in Congress, I served as a Baptist minister. I have to throw that in there. Wonk, 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 wonk. Today, I am asking my friends in North Tulsa for grace.
Why is it so long? And you're just reading excerpts. Why is it so long?
I skipped what I highlighted, yo. I even skipped the shit I said I was going to read.
Like, if it takes that many words, then you always knew. You know what I mean? I mean, I know that's what the whole point of the conversation today, but I'm like, how dare you, like, write a 2-page dissertation about how you didn't realize that you, like, stop talking. Just.
I need you to stop talking. I need you to stop lying.
The lie, everyone is complicit in the lie. All of those people that look like him, white people, people who are of a certain economic status, we're all complicit in the lie. They are all complicit in the lie. Because what his letter says is, one, you don't matter enough to me for me to even know what's going on with this community. Two, even though it's all around me, the information, the news, I am going to not address it. Again, because you don't matter enough to me as my constituents. I don't care. You're not doing anything. You don't have any money. You're not a lobbyist. You're not bringing me anything. And the bottom line is, given my age and my race and my economic status, we know that I was raised in a household where they said ninja, and they didn't say ninja, they said other words all the time, where I went to white schools, lived in white neighborhoods, worshiped in white churches. I surrounded myself by people who had my views and who looked like me, talked like me, felt like me, and we all believed that you don't matter. So,
no, Angela, more than that, then you don't matter. You're not human.
You're not, no, well.
You're not even human.
You're not
like you're not human, because what we are talking about is basic humanity. Like just seeing people that have all of the people parts as the same as us, right? And here's my other thing about this. You're gonna do this, and you have this blind spot, and you admit this part down here. Then you also are admitting that you are not capable of holding this office. You are not qualified. If you cannot see this type of damaging behavior and how this could disenfranchise and hurt your constituents, that letter needs to be submitted with a resignation. Mm-hmm. You want to atone, my cracker? You need to submit your resignation. We're going to move on because to Nick's favorite section, and I'm just going to set this up a little bit. So one of the things that has been very interesting, aside from the the Mayotocracy apology tour, where the Mayotocracy has all decided that they now, after George Floyd, I thought they saw racism, but I guess they just didn't see it all. So now they really see it, right? The other hubris of this is, I believe these people thought they were going to actually get away with this, which is why so many of them were doing videos and talking about this is the greatest thing ever, and they thought this was really cool, and they didn't quite understand what was going to happen. So if you have not been on Twitter, follow it, hashtag no fly list.
Oh, it's the best.
Please.
When that man said, they kicked me off the plane, they called me a fucking Karen, and they're trying to ruin my life. And then the woman goes, hey, calm down, it's okay. I was kicked off of a Delta flight earlier.
Oh, my favorite one was the white man that was down on the ground, and he said, stop it, you're treating me like a black person.
Now, see, what's funny about that? That is actually, it has come out that was an older video.
That was old.
Oh.
That didn't happen during this period,
Okay.
but it has happened but it did happen. The reason people still repost it is because it has happened since Trump has been president.
Oh, well. Yeah.
It's just funny that, like, I think it's funny because that video came out. People are like, oh, that's one crazy white person, crazy, like, insane white person at the door. That's one crazy white person at the restaurant. That's one crazy white person. But now we saw thousands of crazy white people in the Capitol.
When we saw Honky Kong.
Right. And now and then just watching this develop, watching it is like, oh, but these people are bankers. These people are delegates. These people are doctors. These people are real estate agents. Like, and then
these people
are, like,
are in the West Virginia Congress.
They're like, how? What? That's crazy. And then to be like, oh my God, that's my cousin. Oh my God, that's my daddy. Oh no.
But here's the thing. You knew that was your cousin because you were at Christmas last year.
And you talked to your cousin.
And you didn't say shit about it.
Wait.
You let your cousin, you let Mimo and them go on a racist tirade at Christmas every year. You're not that stunned that Paul and Carol, your aunt and uncle, will come and their old asses down the steps with waffles.
So I saw a meme. I'm not sure if it's true or not. I hope it is. It was like my friend changed her political thing on Bumble to conservative and started talking to a bunch of conservative men to find out like if they were at the Capitol or not to report them to the FBI. I'm like, is this a new game? Like, we're just like,
let's just find it. Let's find the Capitol insurrector. Let's find the seditionists. Okay, so I brought this up because
one real quick. I think Nick, or either you or Nick, said that people are talking about how this isn't just this is just one person. This is just one group of people. I found this quote from Ben Sasse, the Republican.
My guy.
And he says, our kids need to know that this isn't what America is. Oh. And I am so tired of hearing this isn't America. This isn't who we are. This is who you've been since you went and kidnapped and raped a land of its people and its resources. This is who America is.
This was the Boston Tea Party.
This is it. And they keep trying to,
tell us more, Angela, about the history of crackers.
And you just can't do that. You are doing such a disservice to your children, to Paul and Carol, to everybody. Just say it. And that's what the Trump insurrection was. It was, we're just gonna say it. And then all the polite whites said,
Okay, so these people are so gross and so disgusting. There's one that made my whole, like the insides of my shondo dried up. Nick, will you play this broad for us,
Yes,
please?
yes, I will.
Share
Just
this
give
with
a
the- share this
little
with the people.
context. Little context. Jenna Ryan, she's a real estate broker who took a private jet to Washington to participate in the shenanigans. So I just think it's important to give that context for Madam Ryan.
Yes.
Here she is. Thank you, The Guardian, for the content.
It was very strange experience to be arrested by the FBI. They're very professional, and it was very.
They were very professional. That's where I got mad at the first part, but we'll continue.
Strange feeling. I felt like I was doing my patriotic duty. So me personally, I do not feel a sense of shame or guilt from my heart from what I was doing. I thought I was following my president. I thought I was following what we were called to do, flying there. He asked us to fly there. He asked us to be there. So I was doing what he asked us to do. So as far as in my heart of hearts, do I feel like a criminal? No. Do I feel guilty? No. But I do feel a little wronged in the situation, because I'm like, okay, I'm a real estate agent, and this has taken my company. It's taken my business. It's I'm getting slandered all over the internet, all over the world, and all the news. I would like a pardon from the president of the United States. I think that we all deserve a pardon. I'm facing prison sentence. I think that
She's shocked that she might be going to prison for storming the Capitol. I just can't. Also, what is this plastic? Is this a plastic wreath? Like, why is it so dry?
Of course it's plastic.
Look all dry. It's January 17th. Take it down.
I do not deserve that, and I think every person, from what I understand, everyone's going to be arrested that was there. So I think everyone deserves a pardon, and I would ask the President of the United States to give me a pardon.
Thank you, Guardian. Wow.
There was another little quote from the longer video that said, I do not feel like a criminal. She was not a criminal. I think it was right before the little piece where she said she was wrong. She was not a criminal. She was doing her patriotic duty.
You know what?
I feel like I'm being wrong.
This sweater, like, what is it? It doesn't look good. Like, also these low light, like, is it highlight or low light? Where are we at this point in the hair journey?
First
you
of
know she's done it
all,
8 million times.
No.
That's all criminal.
That's a whole supercuts haircut.
All criminal. That's all criminal. She was criminal before she got to the Capitol, then she kept going.
And then it was houndstooth. And then it was like houndstooth. And I mean, literally, that is from the 80s. I remember that fabric and that pattern. Okay?
And her crusty wreath.
But so Jenna, who took her private plane, is upset. She is hurt because she has lost her business. Nobody in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is filled with Negroes, by the way, wants to buy no property from Jenna right now.
But the police were very professional.
So professional.
They
were very professional.
They did not.
Were they as professional as the ones? Or were they professional as the ones that she helped beat up? I mean, maybe the Capitol Police weren't as professional.
They may not have been.
When she was putting her hands on them.
And I also just want to point out that, though the no-fly list videos are hilarious, watching these white people thriving and screaming and swatting at police officers and literally resisting arrest and just being carried off as if, it's fine. It's like this one instance has given you 18 examples that have taken every, like we keep saying, every buzz phrase you like to use against like police brutality, against racial discrimination in this country, against riots, against looting. Like, it's all gone. It's gone now. Like,
you know why? Because you took your Nordic blonde-haired, blue-eyed ass into the capital of these United States the people's house, the house that my ancestors actually built with their slave hands, and you stole Nancy Pelosi's lectern. You idiot! You idiot! You took her mail. You
Mine with the
asshole.
thumbs up. Feet on the lady's desk, like leaving. Have y'all heard of the shaman? The shaman whose lawyer is now going on the media circuit talking about how he is also a patriot that was just following the lead of the president, that left a note on Pence's desk that was like enough is enough. Like we will stop this. It's like, you can't be leaving sticky note threats
Let me tell you
on
something.
the desk of the vice president and think that you're gonna be like, what is happening? Like,
Let me
how
tell
does
you
it
what-
not connect to you
Oh.
that that's not good and that you
Listen,
might get in trouble? Like, and that's the thing I can't tell. I can't tell. Like, there are some folks that say that they thought they were gonna win, which I think that
they really did.
That
They
very
really did.
bold. But I also think whether they thought they were gonna win or not, like the girl that's on one of the videos, it's like, oh, we're home. Like, some of those people just thought they were just having a good time and they were gonna be fine. Like I don't think that they thought they were gonna win. I think they were just going along to get along. And we're like, we're gonna be okay though, because we're a bunch of white people. Like, it's fine. Nothing's gonna
They
happen.
would be okay. Their whiteness was going to protect them,
Mhm.
but they weren't just going along. These people came armed. They came with, like you said, the pipe bombs, the zip ties. They were going to kidnap. They were going to pillage. They were going to murder. They did murder. They came ready for a war. And the
Co-host.
whiteness would protect them.
Co-host, I don't like to interrupt when you all are excited, but you all are running over an important point. You both missed it. Them motherfuckers brought their own wood and did carpentry work and built a
They
gallows
built a gallows.
outside of the fucking Capitol with a noose hanging upon it to kidnap the vice president of the United States. And I don't care if it was only two of y'all that brought the carpentry materials. Anybody that was there that day was a part of the motherfuckery of it all. My sister and I's father was a carpenter. We know what 2x4s look like. And we know that it is not a quick thing to build gallows. You have to measure that shit. Raymond say measure twice, cut once. You have to measure this shit. You have to plan this.
And it was very level. It was done well. It was done
well built gallows.
Raymond Stillwell.
I mean, they're good at. I mean,
Christ,
the
they were carpenters.
white people. I feel like there are some things that are just like in their blood, like whipping, like building gallows. Like, I just feel like there are some things that just like they're like, for some reason I just feel really handy at this. It just really comes in handy.
Natural.
Listen, what is the disconnect, you guys, with these white people and this behavior? This idea that other than just the basic white supremacy of it all, this idea that it is okay to have a tantrum because somebody else didn't get a job. And it's the same, and you feel like it is equivalent to Black people getting mad because Breonna Taylor was killed in her home while she slept. How do they contort their minds? Where does this come from? Would you all like to posit any ideas?
They are unchecked children. A child has to be taught what is right and what is wrong. If you allow a child to continually do what they want to, when they want to, and you reward negative behaviors, then that child will continue. And as those behaviors get worse and worse, and you continue to reward and reward, the child not only continues the behavior, they come to expect that this is what they should do. They're constantly reinforced. So these unchecked children are having a tantrum because they're not getting their way. Oh my God, Do you not see who I am, what I am? Doesn't matter that I don't have teeth in my mouth. Doesn't matter that I live in a box. It doesn't matter. I am so much better. I am white, and I come with privilege in this society just because who I am. And how dare you say that that's not true? And I particularly love those who understand that they have privilege, but keep using it.
Mm.
Continue to use my privilege to get what I want when I want, because regardless, I'm still an unchecked child.
You know, I went on a Facebook rant last Sunday. If you follow me on Facebook, go to I think that was the 9th. I had a Facebook rant live, and one of the things that I believe is the problem is that white people don't want to admit that their family and friends and children and cousins are really bad people. I think part of the cognitive distance, part of the disconnect, is this idea that because somebody wiped your ass and wiped your nose and held you close and made you biscuits and loved you, that makes them a good person. So when you're sitting your funky ass at Thanksgiving dinner and you're sitting there at Christmas and Meemaw is calling people a bunch of N-words and monkeys and coons and kikes and things like that and saying all the nasty, hateful, racist words they can say. Pardon me if I offended anybody, I'm making a point. When Meemaw is doing all of this talking, and you sit there and like, well, I know she says, you know, she's really ignorant, but she's a really good person. And you don't say anything. It's because you don't want to admit that Meemaw is a bad person. When your cousin Carol, I mean, she's just really Christian and she just doesn't really believe in abortion. And she's just really, you know, that's all it is. That's the only reason she votes that way. No, she's not a Christian because she didn't say one word about that white woman that was just executed in Texas who was mentally ill, who was arrested for murder 20 years ago and has been in a psychiatric jail facility this whole time because she's real crazy, but they killed her anyway. So, you know, she's not really worried about life. She's not pro-life. When she was like, well, I mean, I don't understand why they're looting and rioting. But I mean, that man got killed and that's bad, but why would they tear up the Target? Now I can't go to the Target. Your cousin but she's pro-life. She's not pro-life. Your cousin is a bad person. And I don't care how many days she goes to church. And I think that's what hurts the woke white folks, because you keep wanting to come to us telling us how good and kind you are, but you take your stinking ass to Thanksgiving every year and sit with your pawpaw who literally only votes Republican because of his tax dollars and thinks about nothing else. He's greedy. He's greedy. He's not greedy. People are not good people. And I really personally think that's the disconnect.
Yeah.
Because the woke white folks will not have the conversation with them. They won't put their foot down. Sarah Rule, there's a playwright, Sarah Rule. Anybody that knows me has heard the story. I hate this bitch. I hate every part of her. I hope somebody takes Sarah Rule and busts her head open. I wish she had been hit with the fire extinguisher because she's the worst kind of white woman that ever walked the face of the earth. She did a whole conversation. I was at a conference and she did this whole video message about, you know, I'm from a small town and it's just things have gotten so toxic. My family and we used to debate politics, but now we can't talk about politics anymore because nobody wants to ruin Thanksgiving dinner. But she's so woke. But she's such an ally. She's a handmaiden under his eye.
A little beyond them recognizing that their relatives are bad people, they have to recognize that they're bad people, because if you truly don't agree, whether or not your butt was cleaned at any point in time or you got an ice cream, if you truly don't agree, you don't sit there and listen to it. You don't put yourself in that environment. You don't go back to your all white neighborhood, in your all white grocery store, and your all white church, and you don't go back to work where most workplaces are still predominantly white. You don't put yourself in those positions without speaking up. At some point, you speak up if you're not also a bad person. And,
Mm.
you know, as our grandmother would say, two wrongs don't make it right. So you got Paw and you got Woke Paw, and they both have some problems. They are both people who need to check themselves and to look inward and realize, you know, changes need to be made.
You're
Listen.
either aiding and abetting, or you're an accessory to the crime before and after the fact. So
So Nick, tell us about this lovely interview you did on the Come Up that you need to let everybody know where to find the whole interview and share with us what went down.
yes, so I got to talk to Jane Elliott. It was just amazing. And we talked a week after the Trump insurrection. I'm just going to play a little clip of what she said first, and then I'll say more words if I have to. I mean, the thing is, you should just watch the full interview. thecoupwithnipwickham.com. Go to my YouTube and my Instagram and my Facebook. You'll find it there. But yeah, she said a lot. I just let her yell at me for 30 minutes. It was amazing.
And you aren't old enough to remember the Million Man March on Washington, when 880,000 black males with some of their sons went into Washington, and without any problems, nobody was arrested, there was no chaos, there were no demonstrations. They simply went into Washington to be counted. None of this nonsense went on because they were highly civilized individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who did the rioting last week were highly uncivilized individuals who were led and enticed to do that by a highly uncivilized boy grown tall who didn't ever belong in the presidency. He is a case of arrested development. He has no adult ego state. He has never progressed past the parent ego state. And you cannot expect someone like that to run a country like the United States or Greenland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She's so funny. She was so mad. And she kept saying, she was like, I'm so mad. She was like, I missed this part because I thought we were done talking. And she kept talking, so I started recording again. But she was like, you probably just saved me from a heart attack. She was like, I'm just so mad. I'm so upset. And I understand she's been having these conversations since she was born in the 30s. Like, she saw Hitler. She saw the rise of Hitler in Germany. And she says in the interview that she saw it happening. And she was like, this feels really Hitlerian. But then she was like, no, I'm being ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. But then she's like, it is. It's ridiculous. Like this, like these people have always been here, and she knows that they've been here. And her students, when she talks about doing the blue eye, brown eye exercise, she's like, they quickly caught onto the power that comes with being in power and what it looks like. And the fear is that when white people lose that power, which is what we saw them, they think they're going to lose power, so they storm the Capitol. They think that black folks and brown folks and people that have been disenfranchised are going to treat them the way that they know that they are treating us. Like, it's just like ridiculous.
Those for people that may not literally not be old enough, because just quick aside. So if there's a 1 in front of your number on your birth date now on your driver's license, they don't even have to look at the rest of it. They just know that you're over 21. That hurts me.
Right.
Deep down in Mashanda. I have a 1. But for those of you who really may not be old enough to know who Jane Elliott is, she has been doing a project of teaching on race and social science and shit for years and years, since the 70s. But she became famous on the Oprah show in the 80s when she did the blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment with her audience, where the people with blue eyes were the minority and people with brown eyes were the majority and empowered. And this was her tool to try to get white people to understand what it means to be the minority and what privileges come with being a part of the majority. It's good work. It's good work. So go watch some of her stuff on YouTube too, because she did a number of other experiments which are even more scathing. Like it's funny to me that Oprah picked that one for her to demonstrate with her audience, because she's done some that are like, ooh.
I think that one of my favorites is when she asks the audience people, she's like, raise your, it's so simple. She's like, raise your hand if you would like to be treated the way that what we call, because she also said we should stop saying black and white. She says we should say melanemic and melanaceous. Melanemic for white people, melanaceous for brown people, because we're all different shades of brown. She was like, I am not white. She was very angry. She was not white. She doesn't even want to be associated with it anymore. But she's like, she said to this audience, raise your hand if you would like to be treated the way that black people are treated in this country. And not a single person in the audience raised their hand. And she was like, so
let's talk about it. Let's discuss. She had one where she had to kick a little white girl out of her class because the girl was like, it was one of the brown-eyed, blue-eyed kind of experiments, and she was like, this isn't fair, and I just can't be here anymore if I'm just gonna be treated like a dog. Right, girl. Angela, you have thoughts?
Oh, lots of them. And it is interesting work. It is good work. It does raise awareness for a lot of people who are involved. However, I believe those experiments, the blue-eyed, brown-eyed thing was initially done, like in the 50s, 60s?
Mm-hmm.
So this is 2021. And if we're still doing this, if we still need to say, look, there's this difference, then the work, and no disrespect to her at all, none. But the work isn't doing anything other than raising momentary awareness. And apparently, once you get out of her class, once you stop reading her books, once you flip the page to the next article, it's gone. So if we are not doing work that sticks, work that really moves us as a society forward, then it's all shits and giggles. It really is. And again, no disrespect to her or the work that she does. And I'm glad that she does it and that in the moment, people do have a sense of awareness, but I don't think anybody isn't already aware. They know. Ain't nobody, this is not new to anyone. They know.
But that's the problem, that the missing link is you white people know, and now you need to stand on something. And you need to talk to your family, your constituents, your people, and you need to demand that they be civilized. And if they are not civilized, if they act uncivilly, you cannot ask me. Now, let me tell you what's been driving me fucking insane during the impeachment. Oh, by the way, in the news, he was impeached twice.
2 times. Never happened before. First time ever.
You can't say to me in one breath that I disavow the violence. I disavow the violence, but I don't think he needs to be punished. You can't, there will be no healing without accountability. You cannot say to me that a racist-based insurrection happened. And the way to cure this ill is to let it go and just move on. Because the last time you said that shit, there was a Confederate flag flying, and there were Confederate statues built. And because Jim Crow laws were instituted, and the Trail of Tears happened, and all of these, and last time you gave a pass to your cousins because they're not really bad people, they just had made a bad decision. It was after the Civil War, and it took hundreds of years to clean up some of that. But wait, it never got cleaned up because somebody just got arrested because his face was on camera with a whole Confederate flag in the Capitol.
Right. And I also want to say, I think we all know, and I would even say that Jane knows, that what she's doing in those rooms is not the end of the work. It's what she does at home when whoever she either is not associating with anymore or that family, because you know that woman is not sitting at the table with nobody that is out here like, and that's the work. And the thing is, like, no one can do that work for you. We can't fix that. I can't fix that. She can't fix that. You can't fix that. No, like, no one can fix it. We can't do that part. And so
Listen, this is
it's
not
like
a black
until
people problem.
well, right.
This
like,
is white on white crime. This is white on white crime. This is a white people problem. White people created the idea and institutions of race, and white people have to dismantle it. Because here's why: didn't no black people die at the Capitol, yo?
Mm-hmm. And they have to dismantle it without coddling each other. And that's the other piece of the work that I find good to me, is that, like, there's no, in this new age of EDI work, it's all about listening sessions and feelings and how do we stop and break down. It's like, I don't need you to listen to me anymore because you're not. And so that's just pointless. I'm not talking anymore. Stop it. Like, I just need you to, yes, we know that you know. So one, let's just remind you that you know. Now go fix it, because that's the extent of what we can do for you. We can't do anything else for you. You got to fix it.
The word is accountability.
Yeah.
Hold yourselves accountable for what has been done, acknowledge it, and say, we need to change it. And just one, I know we're coming towards the end, but the whole Hitler thing, Nazi Germany occurred in Germany. None of that. The Holocaust did not occur on American soil. And before I'm called an anti-Semite, let's be real. The number of lives lost during the Holocaust, pale, not even pale. Is there something more pale than pale? They were minuscule in relation to the number of lives lost during the institution of slavery and the lives that have continued to be lost, Black lives, due to systemic racism and hate that this country has for people of African lineage. So what is that? Your Shondaland, your show, wherever?
Machondo, deep down in Machondo.
My Shondo. Every time my Shondo hears, it's like Nazi Germany. No, the institution of slavery in the United States of America is nothing like Nazi Germany. That's a whole different thing that happened in a whole different country. And if we compare it, then we are, again, as Americans, not being accountable to what was done on the stolen soil of the indigenous of this land.
The Holocaust was an atrocity.
It was horrible.
It was a horrible atrocity. But the institution of systemic racism in America is a whole different beast. It's a whole different animal. It has roots in a whole different place. And I think part of what I hear you saying, Angela, and I think part of the thing we have to consider in these conversations is we can't go on one of the grievance Olympics. news, right? And that's one of the problems with these white people that are Trump supporters. You're going on you want to equivocate and go on the grievance Olympics and talk about, well, this thing, I balk at the term fair and balanced news.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're saying to me is, I have to, no matter how bad you are, this is why Hillary Clinton lost the election, because the media was going, this motherfucker is a demon, but we have to report something bad about her because we have to take, he's doing this, but it has to be fair and balanced. So the media gets caught in this tit for tat and these grievance Olympics. They rioted this summer and they burnt Targets and they stole Nikes. So we stormed the Capitol and stole Nancy Pelosi's lectern. These are not equivalent. These are not the same thing. And I think that's this need to not feel like a bad person. This need to feel like you're not the problem. You equivocate. And I think that's what's irritating my sister Shondo, is this idea that one thing has to be, this thing over here has to have an equal and opposite ideology. And none of these things are ever the same.
They're not.
And we have to stop. If we are talking about the moment of history that is World War II and World War I and II, because the Holocaust spanned and grew and you watch the rise of Hitler. That is a very real moment in American history, and American history and world history. We're a part of this. It was a moment, and it is to be discussed. And it happened in the context of Jim Crow. It happened in the context of post Reconstruction. It happened in the context of since 1619, when the first slave ships hit the shores of the United States. That is a thing. That is a racist ideology that happened in the middle for America. So we have to talk about, this is what happens. This is why Americans are so ignorant, because we don't talk about history in context. Because we don't know history, because we're not taught history, because when the 1% knows you know something, they can't continue to pimp this Ponzi scheme that is racism.
And the history that is taught it's very flawed.
Those are all the things that Jade would say. And so on the Jade is in my mind Holocaust tip as well, I have to say what she always says is how she studied German for a long time in school. And something that she says, which is back to the accountability tip, is like, that's the part that America can't understand, is that blip in time that happened. Germany, well, you will be arrested or ticketed for doing certain things that make you seem like a Nazi. You were taught in your German language class about the Holocaust and how it happened and why it shouldn't happen again. And so it's like that, like, it's not hard to do that. The country just has to decide that they don't want it to happen again. And so it tells me through empirical data that this country don't mind if it happens again, and over and over and over and over and over, because that's the United States of America.
Because
has
really
the Holocaust, they've acknowledged the ills, the horribleness of that point in time, and they teach honest history to their children, and they have said this was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There are some words you cannot say, like this idea, my freedom of speech is being taken away from me because you can't insult me, because you can't berate me, because you can't use words that make me feel unsafe. Then I'm taking your freedoms. Lies, confusion. No. In Germany, the reason it was a blip is because there are things now, there are laws against treating people that way. There has been a hard stop. America needs to have a hard stop. It does not matter how these people feel. The news media, the pundits keep saying, we have to get to the root of why poor white people are angry. We have to understand, we have to reach across the aisle. Once you honky Kong your ass up the side of the Capitol building and into James Clyburn's office on the 3rd floor and stole his laptop, you're a criminal now. You're a traitor. You're a terrorist. So the only answer to any of this is punishment. There needs to be a hard stop. There has to be a line in the sand. Mm-hmm. And if you were there and you get drugged off a flight,
you go to prison.
Mm-hmm. You know what's
employers want nothing to do with you.
You need to lose your job.
What'd you say, Nick?
It's in my contract that I do at least 2 view anecdotes in every interview I do. So,
yes, I knew that. I read that.
Interesting to me is this line in the sand that you're talking about. So Meghan McCain, who was on maternity leave for a long time, I thought she was just going to decide not to come back, but she came back. And it's been, insane. The morning of the Trump insurrection, she was saying how there was no coup. This, everyone's being so ridiculous. The media is stirring up something crazy, blah, blah, blah. Insurrection happens. She's appalled on Twitter all night. She comes back the next morning and she's like, these are not Americans. These are blah, blah, blah. And so she basically has been saying over the last week, she's like, I just have to talk facts because I'm so emotional over this because I don't know what I missed about the Republican Party. I'm not sure what I missed as a conservative person, that this is the place that we're in. She was like, I thought that we would get to a certain point and that people would see this as ridiculous and they would jump ship. So what you're saying is that you went along with the craziness. You knew that it was crazy. When people said it was crazy, you were like, it's fine. It's going to be fine because it's all going to be over soon. Because if it gets to this point, if it gets to the point where they storm the Capitol, everyone will come back. And now you don't see your friends. You don't see those conservatives in the Senate that are actively being like, this is bad. They're still not voting for impeachment. They're definitely not going to vote to convict. And you're confused, but we said that it's so interesting to watch that line that you're talking about even be crossed for people that are conservatives. And they're like, I just don't know. They're not even saying this isn't my country. They're like, this isn't my party. They're like, I'm confused. How did I lose the party? And it's like, well, because you was at the wrong one. And you were at the party the whole time. You was just drunk on the couch acting like you didn't know what was happening. But you was at the party the whole time.
Listen, girl, you knew, Meghan McCain knew what it was because her father checked.
Mm-hmm.
John
and
McCain,
her mama.
bless his Muppet heart, stood at a rally and probably cost him his whole presidency. When the white woman got up and said, Mr. McCain, I want to talk to you about that Muslim Barack Obama, and he said, snatch the mic. We are not doing this. That man is American and a Christian. Your father told you, you ignorant hussy. This, it was clear to anybody who is honest about what this country is, what was happening, what it was turning into. Not turning into, what it had always been and what was bubbling to the surface.
What was being unveiled, because it's always been there.
It's always been there. So on that note, Nick, where can these people find me? Oh Lord.
Where can the people find you?
I ain't did no dinner for the Sundays. Oh Lord.
The people can follow you on Facebook at Newsreel CS. You can also search Newsreel with Carla Stillwell on YouTube and find the videos there. That's
and you can subscribe below if you're watching this live.
Yes.
Live, I say.
If you're watching live, subscribe now. If you're watching afterwards, still subscribe and go ahead and like that page on Facebook.
Yeah, come on in the room. I'd like to apologize for any racial epithets that I dropped. I was
just
making
like
points.
A blanket disclaimer at the beginning of every one of your episodes.
I was making points. I wasn't calling nobody out. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Angela, for being here. You may be back. I might invite you. Thank you so much, Nick, for being my millennial in chief and doing all of this.
Millennial in chief. That needs to be a job at every corporation starting next year.
Anybody who was born before 1979 needs a millennial in chief in their employ. My sister has two of them. See, I have my cup, my Black Auntie's Matter cup. So she can get her internet and stuff together. But here I am all alone. So I have to have a millennial in chief. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your the rest of your Sunday evening or whenever you watch this. Have a good time. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.